Hey book nerds, welcome to my channel. So today I'm doing the finally fall book tag. It's a bit late here in England because fall lasts for about a day, so it's kind of winter weather already here. We don't really get much snow, we just get a lot of rain and gloomy lighting, which will be great for YouTube. So the first question is, in fall the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting, and for this one I'm going to choose The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. I read this earlier this year. It is a thriller mystery and it's about a woman who is a con artist, and she gets a letter one day from someone who says that she's inherited something from this dead woman, Mrs. Westaway, but she's not related to her. However, she decides to pretend she is related to her to see if she can get any money out of them, and she ends up going to stay with the family in this massive gothic house, and that's the vivid setting. So the house is described in lots of detail. It's got a really atmospheric vibe to it with the whole mystery aspect, and I really enjoyed it. I think the setting adds a lot to it. Next tag is Nature is beautiful but also dying. Name a book which has beautiful writing but covers a sad topic. For this I could choose pretty much any book by one of my favourite authors, which is Courtney Summers. In particular I will talk about Some Girls Are, because I think that's one of the most brutal she's written. So Some Girls Are is about a girl who, she's in high school and she gets sexually assaulted by her friend's boyfriend, and no one believes her. She becomes a social pariah. Everyone starts tormenting her in really horrible ways, and it's got such a good exploration of the whole mean girl having to turn into a good person because she becomes an outcast. But it doesn't do it in the usual way. It does it with a lot of honesty, it does it with a lot of reality, and I love all of Courtney Summers' books. I think Some Girls Are is potentially my favourite. The writing is just incredible, and I highly recommend it if you haven't read any of her books yet. The next question is, fall is back to school season, share a non-fiction book which taught you something new. I actually haven't read anywhere near as much non-fiction this year as I intended to. It's one of the things that I always collect non-fiction, but I don't end up reading it, and I need to force myself to read it more. So I'm going to mention a book that I want to teach me something new, and that is Eat Me by Bill Shute. This I got from work. I'm about to do actually a non-fiction book haul. I'm not sure what order these will be uploaded in, but you may see this book in that video if it gets uploaded first. But this is The History of Cannibalism. So I bought this from my workplace, and I served a customer who was buying it a couple of weeks ago, and we had a nice conversation about how interesting it looked. But when I went to buy a copy myself, we'd already sold out. We got them back in stock, and I was like, oh yay, finally the book I've been waiting for. So obviously my colleague asks me what book it is, and I have to tell them with a straight face that it's The History of Cannibalism. So I don't know if they think I'm a bit weird now, but effectively if it helps, I was a psychology student, and I have an interest in the darker side of human psychology, which is my excuse for buying this. But yeah, I'm hoping to read this maybe around Christmas, hopefully soon. I really need to read non-fiction more. So the next question is, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend time with the people you love. Mention a friendship group or family group from a book that you really like to be a part of. I really struggled with this one. I have some of the best friends in the world. I absolutely adore them, and I haven't come across a fictional set of friends that I like more than my real friends, which is good, like that's how it should be. So I'm sure everyone's gonna say this, but I'm gonna say the Weasley family. I don't think I'd actually want to be part of their family because it's absolutely massive and it's really chaotic, and I'm not about either of those things, but obviously it's just Mrs. Weasley is so kind and so welcoming. I'd love to go have Christmas at the Weasley house. That sounds amazing. Obviously if I can bring my own family. And I am wearing my Harry Potter jumper, so it seems appropriate. So the next question is, the colourful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us the spines of some fall coloured books. I actually don't have that many physical books that are orange, which is weird because orange is my favourite colour. So I am going to show you one, and that one is Hidden by PC and Kristen Cast. I actually wouldn't recommend this book. This is a book I've had since I was about 12. And if you watched my series I'd like to reread, I mentioned it in that, but it's a House of Night book. But it does have perhaps the most autumnal of covers. It's got, I do like the covers are beautiful. There's a nice blue one as well, which I'm not sure I own, or if I stopped buying them after a certain point because I realised they were bad. But the next one I think it is in the series is this gorgeous like winter blue cover. The next question is, fall is the perfect time for sharing stories by the fire. Talk about a book where someone is telling a story. I really struggled with this one. I don't think I've read many. I've read quite a few of books about authors, so I thought about twisting it a little bit so it could be about that, but instead I'm actually going to share one of my favourite books, and that is Lost Boy by Christina Henry. I read this near the end of last year. It's a retelling of Peter Pan, and it's really brutal. It's classified as a horror book. I wouldn't say it's horror personally, it doesn't cross that line for me, but it is very dark. It's a really good fantasy story, and the entire book is Captain Hook telling his story of when he used to be a lost boy and was friends with Peter Pan. So yeah, I really like this one. This is my signed copy. I'm so happy. I'm just gonna show off the signature there. My goal is to get signed copies of all of Christina Henry's books because I'm just falling more and more in love with her as an author. So the next question is, the nights are getting darker, share a dark and creepy read. I read so many horror books that this one's easy for me. I'm going to go with Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. This is possibly my favourite horror book that I've ever read. It is about a rock star who he's kind of slightly aging now. He's not really as famous as he used to be, but he's still got loads of money. And he collects creepy paraphernalia, and one day he goes on a eBay type site and finds a ghost for sale, and he decides to buy it, and it's a real ghost. And I won't say anything more than that because it's spoilers, but it's really creepy, it's really atmospheric. I really enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend it if you want a good spooky winter read. So the next question is, the days are getting colder. Talk about a short, heartwarming read that could warm up someone's day. So for this I have a short story, and it's from the anthology, the Meet Cute anthology. It got released in February this year. Quite a few booktubers were talking about it then, but it's essentially a collection of romantic meet cute stories. So I really liked the anthology overall, but Oomph by Emery Lord is my favourite story in the entire anthology. It is a joy to read. It is about two girls who meet in an airport, and it's just really romantic and adorable, and I love it. So the next one is Fall Returns Every Year. Talk about a book that you'd like to return to soon. I'm actually going to talk about Lost Boy again, so I already mentioned what it's about, so I won't go into details, but I adored this book. I read it about a year ago, this time last year, and I've just read Alice by Christina Henry, which I'll talk about properly in my November wrap-up. It's November now. But it just made me really want to read Lost Boy again. I absolutely loved it the first time I read it, and I love Christina Henry's writing. And I'd like to read it again this time of year. It's quite a cosy read for me, and I already associate it with this time of year. So the final question is, fall is the perfect time for cosy reading nights. Mention some of your favourite reading accessories. So my favourite things to read, my favourite things to use while reading in winter: blankets, candles, and a nice cup of tea. So my blanket is, it's buried now so I'm not going to dig it out, but it's got a sheepskin lining and it's the softest thing ever. and I love curling up under it and just reading. Candles, I have a lot of candles. One of my favourite candles I've got right here, so I'll show you that. And it is a gingerbread house by Tuscany candle. This smells incredible. It doesn't quite smell of gingerbread, it smells like it does smell of baked goods. It's not really ginger, it's more like a nice toasty warm smell, and it's divine. It just fills my room. It's super cheap as well. I got it from Clinton's, which is a card shop in the UK. I don't know if they have it in America, but you can't buy them from Clinton's anymore because I've checked, but you can buy them from eBay and they're only about £5, so I highly recommend them. And my other favourite is Fluffy Towels by Yankee Candle, which is in a bag somewhere over there, so I won't show that, but it just smells like the best fabric softener in the world and I love it. And tea, I drink a lot of tea. I collect tea. I don't drink normal tea, I drink everything but, and I've actually got a cup at the moment, so this is my favourite mug. I bought this the other day. It cost me £4 and I'm in love with it. It's huge, it holds so much tea, and the tea I've got in it is by Bird and Brew, they're called now. They used to be called Bluebird tea, and it's the rhubarb and custard one, which my partner got me for my birthday, I believe. Yeah, it's for my birthday, and it's divine. It tastes exactly like the rhubarb and custard sweets. Other teas I'm loving at the moment, Snowball by the same company, and yeah, that's probably mostly what I'm drinking at the moment. I honestly have about 100 types of tea and I'm not exaggerating, so yeah. Yeah, so that was my finally full book tag. If you're watching this video, feel free to do the tag yourself, consider yourselves tagged. I really enjoy this tag. Autumn is one of my favourite times of year and I like talking about cosy book things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, it helps me out massively, and I'll see you next time.